The only time you want to get back home is when everybody's asleep. And you cannot sleep in your house for 4 hours peacefully.
In a business point of view, for us, debt is our friend.
Rich men sell something every day.
To sell some asset.
Please sell something.
So that's how dangerous debts can push you. And every time, I avoid passing through that location. Yeah, we are going to understand something that is very, very, very important. We're talking about debt management, and people have different perspective in terms when you hear something to do with debts. There are some people who are scared of it. There are some people who are very okay with debts. There are some who actually enjoy it, and there are different perspectives where we look at debts. And so we want to understand, first of all, is it okay, to have debts around? Or if it is okay, then why must we have the debts? And then how are you going to finance the debts? So how are you going to overcome the debts? As men, a majority of us, we are having a lot of mental health challenges. Statistic that I read a few days ago shows that at least 70% of a man has a debt somewhere. So that's a huge number, and it becomes a big issue that we need to prioritize and how we can address that. So Ambrose, I will start with you right away. What is debt itself? How do you define debt?
Okay, thank you, Matthew, for coming up with this topic. In my understanding, debt is an obligation that one person owes to another. For example, if I borrow money from an individual or a group or from a bank, that means that I already have obligation that I have something that I owe you, something that I need to pay back.
Debt is the act of borrowing from your future self.
So what are some of the importances of accessing borrowing service or borrowing?
So one is that it helps you facilitate some of your development. There are some people, right, who are merging into business. It helps them to grow their business. Handling some of the emergencies like school fees. Some of us just borrowed money to support the school fees, and also run some of the household issues. But sometimes some people have a misguided priority and they get the debt and put it in something which is not a very priority. And that they face a lot of challenges now when it comes to payment. And you don't have a very clear payment plan.
The money I hold, or the money I borrowed, like a debt to me, it has helped me a lot. Just like my brother made mention. The money that we get and we work for, as men, sometimes it's not enough to provide a certain quality of life that vision and dream already demands. You want your family to live a particular lifestyle. It is very hard to meet that now. Because you're working, you're receiving maybe possibly a million, and that 1 million you need to do a lot of things to even sustain your family and do other things. To build a house, man, 1 million salary cannot build for your house. Because it is sometimes 1 million for you to build a house, maybe it will require you to have at least 50 to 100 million to give a decent living for your family. You get it? Now, if you want to do that now, the best is to launch into debt. It helped you. It helped on your expend lifestyle. Because when you're paying back loans, the lifestyle of spending also will be managed.
True.
So the people who spend so much money, these are people who don't have loans.
Why is it discouraged to use debt, to start a venture?
You're starting up anything. There is no proof of concept. Yours is just an idea. We don't know it can work. Yeah. But when you're operating and now we tell you, okay, show us your books and we see how your business has been doing over the past few months, and you're showing us profitability. Now that is proof of concept. We know the idea now works. We can find what works. Yeah, so that is the idea. You cannot know it works until you've been in it. So it's not advisable to start it that way, but to expand, perfect.
Thank you.
You know, in business, there's starting and there is landing of a business before it starts to give back. For example, you open up a school. You open up a school. There's a high chance before you start eating from the school will first eat from your pocket until you reach a break even. You see, until you reach a break even point.
True.
The break even point is where now you can now even tack yourself and start paying yourself a salary from that school. Until then, trust me, you'll not even get anything because you're buying assets. I mean, you're buying things, tables, you're building, you're putting up a shade and those things. Now, all those monies that you're putting them there, those money will not come back. Now, you see that. And the real money that will start to come back may even be less than 1 million because that is now the money you're going to buy with your stock. The other monies will still be in house, you get it, in getting stuffs, in adverts and all that. Now, you cannot be sure that this business is going to work. You see, after putting up a house and everything, this business is going to work. That is now where things are hard.
The certainty.
But now, at least when you have learned the nature of business and you have known you have customers, that one, at least you know the business is going to give back to you.
Thank you.
So you can borrow money.
Thank you.
Sometimes, okay, people get money to do other things which are not really profitable, but you know how you pay.
True.
For example, people get money to buy a car. Because car, you won't get it back, the money.
Yeah.
But of course, you know that I'm going to pay it this way. That one is a very good payment plan. Yeah, and also the other factors are like now issues of school fees, some issues of marriage. People get money to go to marry, which may not be a very bad idea because now if you have a clear payment plan for it.
Sometimes you feel there's no possible way they can get out of that debt. The best way is to take off their life and leave the other people to be paying the money.
On his behalf.
On his behalf.
Boy cover.
So that is one of it. And then maybe the other thing I would love to say in that light is when a man is not able to pay or when someone has failed to pay the money he borrowed, trust me, that thing will cause that person or cause that person to now launch into plan B. How can I get myself out of this debt? I need to sell my assets. That's where you see people running to look for the land they bought cheap. You have household things
Assets.
like chairs, TVs, and see someone carrying fridge going to sell very cheap.
If he's going to repair.
As if he's going to repair. He's going to sell so that he can cover the debts. Now that will leave the children now what? Instead the children will now start running to neighbor's house to watch their cartoon. Because you as a man, you sold the TV to repair a debt. Now the kids want to watch their cartoon. Where do they go? They start hanging up in neighbor's house, and that will even shame you as a family.
For sure.
So it carries a very big impact on them.
Thank Patrick. Just to mention specifically, there was some 4 or 5 years ago. I think I hit the snack like that. I borrowed some money and unfortunately after borrowing the money I didn't use it for what I purpose to use it. And again, unfortunately, my car broke down while I was traveling to Soroti. I used to work in Soroti, so along the way the car broke on the road. I stood in the middle of the road like a madman. In the middle of the road, I didn't know what to do. Like, I'd frozen all over, and then a few people that I knew would help me, I'd already borrowed money from all of them as well. So I picked my contact, I looked around, there was no rescue force. I froze. That's how dangerous it went. And so until, I sat on the car and then I remembered I had a piece of land within the city. A good one, which I bought cheaply. Very good one. And that became the only option I had. Painfully, I sold the piece of land just at 3 million to fix my issues. And right now that land should be worth close to 50 million if I'd held on to it. And so that's how dangerous debts can push you. And every time, I avoid passing through that location. Until today, I don't like using that route where that land I sell from. I dodge it. I still have the trauma until today.
Yeah.
And so when we fail to manage our debts, we have agreed it's a good thing. It can fix maybe a situation on a temporary basis. But when we don't fix it out, then it carries such a huge ton of mental health conditions and impact in our life. You mentioned very well, not only you, even your family members get affected. So now, gentlemen, what are those strategies that you've used? I would like you to share out of experience. What are the strategies that you've used in a lifetime that has helped you, to overcome your debts, to manage maybe a condition, a state that you're in? I'd love to hear from us. Ambrose, I'll start with you once again. What are the strategies that we can employ?
Yeah, I think me personally, the strategy starts from the time I want to get, I want to borrow. In terms of how will I be paying back? So usually what I do, I calculate the ratio of payment to income. So for example, if I earn a specific amount of money,
Let's say 100.
say 100, then I calculate out of this 100,000, how much will I be committing to pay this debt that I have for this period of time, so that I remain with also this amount of money that will not affect my day-to-day life. That's one of the strategies that I actually use, and I see that if I have this debt, the interest is this much, and the total payment is this, then my money that I have as an income, I should be able to not go beyond this percentage. Understand? For example, if I have 100,000, I say that I cannot now use 100,000 to pay debt.
True.
So I must be remaining with the maybe 60 or 60,000, so that this 40 can pay. Or I must be remaining with the 70,000, so this 30,000 I can be committing to clearing debt. Two, I also use another approach where if I have 2 or 3 places where I've borrowed money, maybe I have in this saving group, I also have in the other saving group, I can prioritize and say that, okay, this one is giving me this percentage, this one is giving me this percentage. Of course, there will be different percentages. So I can decide to say that this one is going to put a lot of pressure, because the more it remains, the higher the interest that I'm going to pay. So I can decide to say that today I'm going to clear this debt with a higher percentage, and I get relief. Or I can merge the debt also. Understand? I get money, clear this, and then I also know that now I'm only having one.
Look for the least possible cost of borrowing, and look at the least possible interest you will pay to those loans. But otherwise, that's on a personal level. But on a business point of view, for us, debt is our friend.
Check reputations of the people. And now, it's not only companies, because we're looking at borrowing as a whole.
Yeah.
Now, you cannot go and borrow money from someone who does not have a very stable financial background as well. Because you're going to borrow money from a broke person
You never need the money from him.
whose livelihood depends on that money. Now you borrow that money.
He will come for your skins.
Will come for you. Next week he wants the money. You see that? Now, that's why I'm very careful. The people I borrow money from, first of all, I make sure that is a person whose financial life track records are you have something that you can live on as a battle to get some money to pay you back. You see, because now you borrow some money from someone who is even about to sleep angry, trust me, the following day you are in trouble, and that person will not even give you any time to pay. See, that you see. And now the other strategy I use, sometimes when worst come to the worst, I make sure my reputation is clear or clean with everybody. For example, if it is groups, money from groups, and I'm having about 2 or 3 groups, sometimes I use borrowed money to clear borrowed money. You see that? I borrow from here. If pressure tends to get tougher here, I run to group C and borrow and pay to zero here. I still have some breathing space just Now when it's it's not a very nice, interesting life to live though, to borrow and pay, but it has helped because we are sustaining life. You want it helps us to move forward. So because you're fighting for 2 things, you talked of reputation is key, and now reputation when it comes to money you can spoil your reputation in no time. You borrow money, now payment time comes, you still lack money to pay. Trust me, your reputation is completely gone. Now the next time you want money, they will not give you money. But if you borrow, they will not know this is borrowed money. We don't want borrowed money here. It's not written on it.
This one doesn't look like borrowed.
So that is what I can hear.
And also, I think we need to have communication. If you do not have communicate.
Yes.
Some people now even feel they will not call you, they will not pick up you. We have a scenario going on in our group, this one no. Someone mismanaged some money. You talk about reputation as the reputation is spoiled. So it's very important to communicate. That one wasn't a loan, but used the group money. That was contributed. But you need to be very clear. If I get paid you, if you borrowed your money, I said I'll pay you like next week, and I failed, and maybe the other week. Try to, because now maybe this person has already calculated that this guy is giving me money this week. Maybe even he wants to pay some loan, or he wants to use it for other purposes. So I feel like effective communication.
A gentleman came to me possibly, and because now even the money you owed from rent that has accrued, that is already what? It's debt.
That's already.
That is already debt that you need. You didn't have money to pay the other man. This guy had about 5 months rent. But what this guy was doing all this long, he had no. You see that happiness, that joy of sticking around your home once a week. Like the only time you want to get back home is when everybody's asleep, and you cannot sleep in your house for 4 hours peacefully because you have to wake up early in the morning. At 5, before the landlord gets out, you have to run and do nothing in town. You see, so that has been his life. Then I told this guy, bro, no, wait. Open up your life to this landlord of yours. Tell the truth. Speak out the truth that you are still undergoing some financial challenge. But I'm going to get money and pay you. I still don't have money. When you open up like that, you communicate your situation. The person you are owing money will also look at you with some, you get it? Will say, I should not put this person under so much pressure. He's going through a lot. He's going to pay me. He has communicated. I know. But now if you make people to start looking for you, man, what is happening? You're not talking to me. Instead, you after hearing the voice of the person you owe money, or you owe the money, instead you what? You end calls. That one puts a very funny picture.
Wow,
yeah, so we should open up, communicate your status.
I maybe just to add on this, I strongly think that managing debt starts with getting a manageable debt itself. Before you actually think of borrowing, borrow what you can manage. I was giving an example of calculating your credit utilization. Before you begin borrowing, actually, you should be thinking of how will I manage it. So managing a debt does not come when you've already got the debt, the money that you've borrowed. So how do you do that? You need to think of particularly in terms of how much do I need and how much will I pay. Then you get how much you're going to pay, how much do you have. From that, you will be able to manage it. But if you just go and borrow, you don't know how much you get in a month and what are the conditions for payment. eventually it will not only affect you, it will affect you, you affect your family. You'll even begin calling people that probably you met 10 years ago to help.
The first thing you ask is
Yes.
man some money. But it has been 10 years.
Then the guy say, but who is this? Because lost your number. Eh? So managing a debt starts with getting a manageable debt amount. And the manageable amount comes with how much also you had.
Does that have connection with your standard of living? You know, some people want to say something about that.
I maybe just to add on that, in terms of standard of living, if you're getting a debt to add the standard of living, probably that will be what this guy is saying.
A liability.
A liability, a bad debt. Because now I always tell people I should not measure my standard of living
With Martins.
with another person.
Matrix.
Yes, with Martin, because when I will see where Martin spend his life, I don't know his sources of income.
Or maybe he's close to someone in Uganda here.
Yes, maybe he's a business person.
Like our brother.
Yes, Stephen.
Because now the standards, those are just things. Just believe in spend within your means. I always say spend within the means. If you're spending outside the means,
Outside.
it
becomes hard.
add on easy communication as also summarized.
Yes.
Yeah, I think as men we need to have business, something that brings money. At least sell something. You know, when you rich men sell something every day.
To sell some asset.
At least sell something.
He sold the
Either
land.
you will sell your money, or you will sell some goods.
But not house
For me,
for
for the few years I've been in this world as a man, I've seen the kind of embarrassment or disappointment one goes through if you're a man and you do not have money. You know, this world is very hard for men. It's very hard. So we need to put money into something. And if you're going to borrow money inside a God's farm, that's okay. I feel it's fine. When things become tough, you can sell.
Yes.
Yeah. So not only relying on one source. For example, us who are some people employed.
Salary
Salary. Our life is good. You're looking good. They pay you salary. You get airtime, what every month. But actually, you have no money.
Eating in good hotels.
allowances.
Like when they ask you right now, you have no money.
Didn't ask me that.
No, so that is what I can say. That's my advice.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Just one thing.
Yes.
Even as before, maybe we should be thinking of growing our savings. You have some emergency somewhere where you know that when things become tough, maybe I will have to touch on the other one.
True.
But if you don't have an emergency, like for example, me, I know there are people who borrow money, even actually when they have.
True.
Some people just used to pressure.
Yes, they're going to borrow, but there is some saving somewhere that he has been keeping it for 2 years, for 3 years, and the saving is growing. So when things become tough, you say that, okay, now this, I will have to now touch the other one for the meantime. So having emergency as a man, it's very important.
Wow.
Because it will save you a lot of things.
Thank you. What is that one thing what you want to give a man who is battling with a debt somewhere?
But before you get a debt, get a manageable one.
Thank you.
Borrow only if you must borrow.
Have a side hustle as a backup. It will help you one day.
Have a very good repayment plan for your loan before you even borrow.
Should have a small business you're doing.
Be faithful enough to pay your debt.
Thank you. Until again we meet next month. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay.